The diner smelled of coffee, pancakes, and something that felt like second chances. It was Saturday morning, and Daniel Hayes sat nervously at the corner booth, tugging at the sleeve of his old flannel shirt. He hadn't been on a date in 3 years, not since his wife Claire passed away after a long fight with cancer. Since then his world had shrunk to 2 things: his job at the auto shop and his 6-year-old son, Ethan. Everything else, love, laughter, even sleep, had been pushed aside. But his sister, Mia, wouldn't stop pushing him to move on. "Come on, Danny," she'd said. "It's just coffee, not a wedding. You need to talk to adults again." So here he was, heart thudding like an engine ready to stall, waiting for a stranger named Sophie, a single mom who, according to Mia, was sweet, down-to-earth, and perfect for you. When the bell over the diner door jingled, Daniel looked up and froze. A woman stood there with 3 little kids clinging to her hands, triplets. The boy and 2 girls looked around with wide, curious eyes, each wearing tiny matching jackets. The woman, Sophie, looked slightly flustered but smiled when she spotted him. "Daniel?" she asked, breathless. He blinked. Yeah, that's me." She gave an apologetic laugh. "Sorry about the entourage. The babysitter canceled last minute. I didn't want to stand you up." He stared for a second too long before saying, No, it's fine. I like kids." One of the triplets, a little girl with pigtails, pointed at him. "You don't look like a daddy." Daniel smiled awkwardly. "I am one, actually." The little boy gasped. "Then you know about dinosaurs?" "Expert level," Daniel said, pretending to puff his chest. Sophie laughed, and in that moment, something in him softened. She looked tired, like someone who hadn't had a full night's sleep in years, but there was kindness in her eyes, the kind that didn't need makeup or fancy clothes to shine. They sat down. The kids squirmed, argued over syrup, and spilled milk, chaos in every direction. But Daniel didn't mind. He poured them juice, helped cut pancakes, and told Ethan's favorite knock-knock joke just to make them laugh. Sophie watched him quietly, her expression softening with every passing minute. "You're really good with them," she said. Daniel shrugged. "Guess when you've changed diapers in the dark and cleaned up cereal off the ceiling, nothing surprises you anymore." She smiled, but there was something wistful in it. "Their dad, he left before they were born. I've done this alone since day one." He nodded, understanding all too well what it meant to fight battles no one saw. "You're doing great. I mean it." Her eyes glistened. "You're the first man to ever say that." After breakfast, the kids begged to go to the park across the street. Sophie hesitated, but Daniel said, "Come on, let them run it out. I'll buy us both some coffee on the way." They spent the afternoon chasing laughter. Daniel pushed the swings, helped build sandcastles, and laughed until his stomach hurt. Sophie watched from the bench, a hand pressed to her chest. There was something about him, gentle, patient, real, the kind of man she thought didn't exist anymore. When the kids were finally tired, Sophie looked at him and said softly, "You didn't have to stay. Most men would have run the moment they saw 3 car seats." Daniel chuckled. "Running? Overrated. Besides," he looked at the triplets sleeping in a pile on the blanket, "I think I needed this more than you think." That night, as he tucked Ethan into bed, his son asked, "Dad, did you meet someone today?" Daniel smiled faintly. "Maybe." "Is she nice?" "The nicest," he said. Ethan grinned sleepily. "Then you should see her again. Mom would want that." The words hit Daniel's heart like sunlight breaking through clouds. The next week he met Sophie again. No kids this time, just her laughter, and that same warm smile. But something was different. The waitress at the cafe whispered to another employee as soon as Sophie walked in. A man at a nearby table nodded respectfully to her. Daniel frowned. "You seem kind of famous here." Sophie laughed nervously. "I guess there's something I should tell you." He raised an eyebrow. "You're not married, are you?" She smiled. "No, but I am Sophie Grant. CEO of Grant Medical Technologies. Daniel blinked. The name hit him like a shock. Her company was one of the biggest employers in the state. His boss had posters of their medical devices on the shop wall. He laughed in disbelief. "You're kidding." "I wish," she said softly, "but I don't usually tell people on first dates. Most men either try too hard or run away." Daniel stared at her for a long moment, then said, "So what you're saying is, I ate pancakes with a millionaire and 3 syrup-covered superheroes." She burst out laughing, covering her face. "Basically, yes." He leaned forward, smiling. "Well, that's a first for me, but you know what? I don't care what you own. You're still the woman who carried 3 kids into a diner and made everyone smile. That's the part that matters." She looked at him for a long time, then reached across the table, her hand trembling slightly. "You really mean that?" "I do," he said. "Money can't raise kids, but heart can." Months passed. Daniel and Sophie became inseparable. Their kids bonded like they'd always been family. On weekends, the 6 of them picnicked under the same tree at the park where they'd first met. And one day, as the sun set, the triplets surrounded Daniel, giggling. "Are you gonna marry Mommy?" one asked. Daniel laughed, glancing at Sophie. "Well, that depends. What do you think?" Sophie blushed, rolling her eyes. "Don't ask them first." But when he looked into her eyes, he didn't need to say anything else. He knelt down in the sand and said softly, "I thought my heart was done for good, but you and your 3 miracles brought it back to life." The triplets squealed, Sophie cried. And under that orange western sky, the struggling single dad who came to a blind date for pancakes found something far greater, a family he never knew was waiting for him, and a woman who turned out to be everything he didn't dare dream of.